David, what do you think about this? Can you make something out of this?
Can I make something out of what?
I don't know. This train wreck of a conversation.
This is a conversation.
Well, I've made something out of a train wreck of whatever you say on couch potatoes, so...
Oh, yeah. Boy, those are great. I bet it's just 40 minutes of me being crazy for you to edit.
Mm-hmm.
So,
squirming on a couch.
Yeah. Or just trying to figure out what's the most shocking and strange and revolting thing I can say this week off the top of my head.
Yeah.
It's pretty accurate.
Can I be a lesbian?
Okay, so if I was a trans guy who dated a girl, could I be a lesbian?
Well, if you were a trans guy, you would be a girl who became a guy.
So you're a trans girl, then?
Okay, if I was...
Is that what you're
all
getting
right.
at?
Yeah.
M to F. Okay. This is an important question. I brought this up before. I need to know.
I really have no answer for you, man.
Oh.
I never even thought about that.
Well, that's disappointing. You know what? We brought you here for one reason, and that was to answer this lesbian question because we couldn't figure it out. You can't even do that right. What are you even here for, Brandon? All right, you're fired. It's the first ever subject to change guest speaker, and he's already let us down.
That's what I do.
Like
Just
your
ask,
life.
Oh.
Ask all
Yeah.
the people that DM me about Unstoppable Spider-Man.
Hey, can I be a guest writer? No.
No. The whole point of doing it was that it was just me, and I didn't have anybody telling me what to do about it.
Yeah, that's what Contest of Slashers is for, where I boss you around and tell you what to draw for 20 pages.
Exactly.
So, anyway, everyone, give a warm welcome. Put your hands together for Brandon. You may know him as Thwip on Twitter. He
I've
does
always
the...
wondered how to pronounce that.
It's Thwip.
Definitely flip.
Thwip. Thwump. And he does the art for that comic Unstoppable Spider-Man, which I've been retweeting for like a year now. He's doing the art for Contest of Slashers, which is still on the way. Don't worry, we're still working on it.
It's a big thing. It's a big...
It's a very massive undertaking.
Yes. It's not
In
like
just
I'm
20
drawing...
pages.
It's not like I'm drawing, one guy fighting another guy. I'm trying to juggle all these different characters and make sure they look consistent. It's just a lot of work
different character design. Well, because I also have given him so many different characters he's never drawn before and told him to just like make do, and now he's having to study how they work and how to draw them best from other artists and what costume designs to use for them.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of work that goes into it.
But it is a way. I'm not like just giving up on it. I'm really excited to do this. It's just slow and hard work.
Woo!
Yeah. And of course, David's most excited of all to read that. He tells me every day about how much he can't wait for the first issue.
Because as we know, I am a really avid comic book reader.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I got you to read like 3 issues of Punisher Max.
Actually, it was closer to like 18 at least.
That's more than most people.
That
Yeah, I
is-
have the hardest time getting people to
Okay,
read
that's about
comics.
it.
That is more than most people.
My comic book collection is Invader Zim comic book, V for Vendetta, 1 issue of Valerian that I got on Free Comic Book Day, and an issue
That I gave you.
Yeah, that you gave me, and 1 issue of Superman American Alien that I gave to Xavier.
So it's not in your
Yeah, it's not my
collection anymore, it's mine.
anymore.
That was the one written by Max Landis.
Although the next time I drive down to Pueblo in southern Colorado, I'll probably visit the comic book store down there. That's the thing that I do.
Okay.
Yeah, because my dad grew up down there, so I drive down there every now and then, and they have a comic book shop. So yay!
Cool.
The comic shop by my house is cool because turns out that the guy who works there has been working in comic shops since my dad was a kid, and he recognized him. And they were like, like reminiscing and telling stories and stuff. And he was able to, just like tell him about how everything's been going and, my YouTube channel and how I use comic books for research.
Where did you go?
Hello?
Huh?
You disappeared for a second.
Oh, okay, yeah. This spotty connection. It's kind of what happens when you're talking through Facebook
I heard
Messenger.
the last thing I heard was that guy has been working at that comic book shop since your dad wasn't since your dad's time.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty much the gist of it.
Oh.
Yeah. That was the moral of the story, is that talentless bands can entertain stupid people with a puppet show.
Mm-hmm.
Stan Lee wasn't there to give you inspirational quotes?
Stan Lee was in the store. He was he was working as the greeter. He would sit at the front door and go, "Face front, true believer," because he would make sure no one would actually like go into the store backwards, because it's a safety hazard.
Excelsior!
He would say that every time someone left the store and no one knew what it meant.
I just think of the starship in Star Trek that Hikaru Sulu commanded in Star Trek The Undiscovered Country, called Excelsior.
The Excelsior? Oh, yeah.
See, I just like to think of an alternate universe where Stan Lee never got into comic books. He was just that creepy old guy who just said Excelsior and no one really understands him.
He's just some crazy guy running around telling stories of men that walk on walls, and everyone's like, yeah, that's that creepy guy who just says all these weird things.
He's in a nursing home, and his walls are covered with drawings of Spider-Man and Captain America and all that.
But because he's Stan Lee and he's only good at writing and not drawing, they're all like really poor, and he can't exactly get across what he's trying to show everyone, so they just look like stick figures.
That's awesome. No, I could totally see that. Okay.
And then he's got like some kind of ongoing rivalry with Jack Kirby, who's in the next room. You've stolen my ideas for the last time, Lee. I'm telling ya, I didn't steal your ideas. It's called parallel thinking.
They just like argue with each other, like in the hallway.
They have old man like fist fights where it's just like really slow and awkward, and
that reminds
you feel really
me
bad.
of Bubba Ho-Tep.
Bubba Ho-Tep,
where Bruce Campbell as Elvis, who didn't die and fell into a coma and wakes up in a nursing home next to Black JFK.
Yeah. So the premise is that Elvis decided to retire but give over the mantle to a Elvis impersonator. And that guy died of a drug overdose, and that was publicized. But then something happened to the original Elvis.
He was an Elvis impersonator, and he fell off the stage. And then he got into a coma, and then he wakes up 30 years later in a nursing home,
believing that he is Elvis.
Next to a black guy who insistently claims that he's JFK. And then they have...
And do you know who plays Elvis?
Bruce Campbell.
Yeah!
That's dope.
And then, of course, they have
And then a mummy shows up!
They have to fight a mummy who steals souls through their... You know what you're gonna say.
Yeah, it's a mummy that steals people's souls through their anus.
It sounds like an Evil Dead fan fiction.
It's basically what it is. Like, Bruce Campbell's movie career took kind of a turn for a while, where he was just almost exclusively being in weird, like, semi-indie, low-budget garbage.
Nonsense.
Yeah, like My Name is Bruce, where he plays himself fighting, like, werewolves or something. Or, there's that movie where he goes to the alternate universe that's run by insectoid people.
And then there's, of course, whatchamacallit. And, of course, my favorite part is the line when Elvis calls Black JFK and says, "Ask not what your nursing home can do for you, but what you can do for your nursing home."
That's like bizarrely specific.
Well, of course he's talking to JFK, and that's referencing JFK's famous line, "Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country."
I know. I'm saying the character is bizarrely specific. Like, of all the things to choose to make a character about, that's a
Black JFK.
That's so awesome.
He said that JFK wasn't killed, but he was kidnapped, and then he turned black.
like I don't understand. Like, just how? Like, someone just forced him into a surgery. He was
like
given
Tropic
the
Thunder?
reverse. Yeah. He was given the reverse Michael Jackson treatment.
Basically. So it's the dumbest movie ever, but it's kind of hilarious.
I want a sequel to Bubba Ho-Tep. Or, you know what, even better? I want the Bubba Ho-Tep, cinematic universe.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're trying to make the...
JFK.
Yeah.
Bubba
We're trying to
Ho-Tep
make
needs to be in the same cinematic universe as Buckaroo Banzai and the Hong Kong Cavaliers.
Yes. That's exactly what we need. Just because the titles alone fit so well.
So let me tell you about Buckaroo Banzai if you don't know what this movie is.
It has RoboCop in it.
Yes. Buckaroo Banzai, The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension, stars Peter Weller, who is RoboCop, John Lithgow,
He's great.
Jeff Goldblum, and Christopher Lloyd.
This is a cast of super weird, eccentric people plus RoboCop.
Yeah. So Buckaroo Banzai, played by Peter Weller, and his mentor, Dr. Hikita, perfect the oscillation overthruster, a device that allows you to pass through solid matter. And then the news of the success reaches Dr. Emilio Lizardo, who is is played by John Lithgow, and then he breaks away from his insane asylum and then tries to steal the overthruster because he's possessed by a red lectroid, and there are a bunch of aliens called red lectroids on Earth, who are all named John Parker, John Emdahl, John Big Booty, and then it's up to the Hong Kong Cavaliers, who are a group of physicists, neurosurgeons, and rock and roll musicians, to save the world from the band of interdimensional aliens called Red Lectroids from Planet 10, with the aid of the Black Lectroids, who all speak with Jamaican accents.
I kind of tuned out and am just hearing words now, but I'm very on board for what I'm hearing.
It is the most hilarious thing.
As soon as you said all Jamaican accents, I knew that was the moment I was sold.
Yeah, Jeff Goldblum plays a neurosurgeon who dresses up like a cowboy all the time.
Even during surgery?
For no reason.
Can we stop casting Jeff Goldblum in just vaguely scientific roles?
And of course,
he just
life.
Christopher Lloyd
finds a way.
Of course, plays John Big Booty.
Weird, ornery.
You know, Jeff Goldblum's career, much like life, finds a way.
And my favorite part of the movie is John Lithgow, though.
What does John Lithgow do?
He plays Lord John Worfen / Dr. Emilio Lizardo. He's the leader of the Red Lectroids from Planet 10, described similar to Earth's Hitler, but he has the most hilarious, over-the-top Italian accent you'll ever see. The oscillation overthruster!
Why? Why?
I love this movie and I haven't even seen it.
It's the best thing. And I'm going to send you a video that you have to watch later.
Okay.
After this, which is the end credits. And it's
Does it have a Marvel-style after-credits scene
No.
that confirms that Peter Weller's character was indeed RoboCop in that movie,
it says,
too?
John Buckaroo Banzai will return in
The Avengers.
Buckaroo Banzai against the World Crime League, which never happened.
Oh.
So the end credits is basically just a bunch of guys, walking around in a giant concrete thing, like those concrete things they have in LA.
Yeah.
just walking around, and there's just a bunch of people.
Like
that, for no reason.
the thing under the bridge that they have the chase scene in Terminator 2.
Chase in Terminator 2.
Yeah. That place.
Just walking
So it's
around
just
for
them-
no reason. Just a bunch of people just appear, and they're just walking around in
the gutters. It
You guys
better
ever-
be playing some kind of song like "Dirty Deeds" or something.
Listen, you could
You guys
actually
ever
listen
watch,
to it while we're talking, because it's the cheesiest song ever.
What were you saying, Brandon?
You ever see Pluto Nash?
No.
Eddie Murphy?
I've heard of it. Isn't it where he plays an eccentric space alien?
I just
No.
know that it's a big box office bomb that basically ruined his career.
It is horrible. It's like in that era of like CGI wasn't really good yet, and they were still doing like, fucking Blade Runner, what looked really cool and interesting future cities. So then we're gonna make every future be dark and wet and glowy. But
Even though that's not thematically appropriate.
no, it's Eddie Murphy. Like,
In Blade Runner.
Can't
No,
waste
that's a
Blade
great
Runner 2
combination.
with that guy who danced around in La La Land.
Yeah, that guy who won the Oscar in Moonlights.
yeah,
What?
Okay, we're in the
I was
era
making a
of,
very strange joke about La La Land.
That
Anyway,
doesn't make any sense.
Because they won the Oscar.
That still doesn't make any sense.
You don't make any sense.
This is unusual. What's your point?
I was just gonna say, like, we're in the era of like revivals and rebootquels, and I pretty much despise
I
it.
hate that term.
Rebootquels, you know what that is?
Reboot.
Hey,
yeah, it's
I'm
like
okay with Blade Runner 2049, but that's because I saw Arrival, and I think that Denis Villeneuve can do a good Blade Runner movie.
Rebootquel. No, I'm saying, like, I hate that it isn't just like a sporadic, like, once in a whatever thing. It's like every movie that comes out now, it's so
it
hard.
has some kind of
find-
established brand.
It's hard to find a new IP.
Hey, did you see
And
Baby
when
Driver?
you do, I have not yet. I have not.
That was good.
We all gotta go support
was
it.
good. I
Because
saw
holy
it.
shit, something that's not based on something.
Well, welcome to Edgar Wright.
It also stands.
Yeah.
It's also got Engel Elsort, who is good in Fault in Our Stars, but it's
His
now in
voice,
actually
his name is like a Star Wars character. Ansel Elgort.
Engel Elsort.
Angel
Els-
Elsa and Spider-Man.
Elsa.
Yes.
Elgort.
Alphaba. Hasselhoff.
Close enough.
Yes.
Close enough.
You got it. You nailed it.
Yeah, I've heard good things and I've heard okay things about it. I want to see it and form my own opinion.
Part of me thinks it's like gonna become cool to not like Edgar Wright movies.
I feel like
because
there's a backlash coming for Baby Driver because it was so universally liked that whenever there's going to be a group of people that doesn't like it, it's going to become a backlash against it. But I don't think it's as amazing as everybody in South by Southwest said it was. It's just like a fun genre piece.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, people are
surprisingly-
saying it's like the movie he would have made if he did Ant-Man.
I don't know. I
Kinda.
mean, I
I don't
could
mean
see
the
that
story
since
or
it is a
whatever. I
heist
mean
movie.
the way he's executing,
Like, thematically.
the way he's executing the genre. That's
because
what
it
I
is a heist movie.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
You know, I could see that.
like, I was surprised because my favorite part of the movie, I was really looking forward to having a John Bernthal show up, but he was about as he was in the movie for about as long as he's in the trailer.
That's disappointing.
But then John Hamm
cool-ass
and
actor.
the person who plays his girlfriend stole the show. They were really great.
John Hamm's great. I'm not surprised by that at all.
I remember my favorite role from John Hamm was not in Mad Men. It was in The Increasingly Poor Decisions of Todd Margaret, where he just plays himself and he's some kind of slave to some like British guy who just is like super rich and famous, and it doesn't tell you that it's John Hamm playing himself for like 6 episodes, so you assume he's playing a character because he's like this guy's butler and everything, and he goes, "Sir, I need to get back to the set of Mad Men, please. It's been weeks." And he goes, "You'll leave when I tell you you can leave."
Where do you find this shit, Xavier?
I don't know. Everyone should go check out The Increasingly Poor Decisions of Todd Margaret. It's hilarious.
Everybody should check out Bach Grow Bonsai. It's amazing.
Everyone should check out Bubba Ho-Tep. Everyone is going to leave this episode with like a watch list.
So are we actually going to talk about stuff, or are we just going to make small talk?
We can talk about stuff.
What do you guys want to talk? There's something big that kind of happened, and there's actually a couple of big things that have happened in the past 2 weeks.
There's a thing that I want to talk about that I thought would be cool, is that I want to talk about this because it's funny. You know how last year all the sequels are underperforming, and then they said, like, oh, it's sequelitis, and then they forgot about it? Well, the same articles are starting to come out this year, too. It's sequelitis, because for the summer box office, Despicable Me 3 opened at least, like, 15 million down from Despicable Me 2, and, like, 40 million below Minions. And, of course, Pirates 5 opened, like, down as well, and Alien Covenant, and Transformers 5, and Cars 3, and Fast and Furious was down domestically. So it's like...
Is this going to become, like, such a trend that eventually we'll have to hard reset Hollywood, and then they'll be like, alright, everyone, bring in your original ideas, and then every schmuck who has a script that he wrote 10 years ago is going to come in and pitch it?
Well...
And it'll bring in, like, a new renaissance for film?
Because basically all of this is happening to non-superhero sequels. Because, like, Wonder Woman did well...
Because superheroes seem to be invincible.
Spider-Man is doing well. Better
than projected by a
lot. Logan did well. But, of course, all these non-superhero sequels are tanking.
Yeah.
Like, there's not going to be another Alien Prometheus sequel after Covenant.
Oh, but I wanted to see where they were going with it. It seemed like they actually had,
but
like,
monies.
Cool
it didn't make enough monies.
Oh.
And I'm really hoping there's not another Pirates movie, because Pirates 5 was unwatchable.
That's what I've heard from a lot of different people.
I've talked about this a lot. It's such a weird balance you have to keep, because, like, I mean, to be fair, comic books have so much source material to build off of, and, you know, decades and decades of stuff, and while you're trying to build this sort of world that everyone's trying to do now, we've kind of, like, gotten swept up into this, and so we're kind of being hypocritical, and I really don't know how to fix that.
Well, yeah, it's just because, like, you know, all these comic book movies, we'll watch 90 billion sequels for them and still be excited.
And of course, the Mummy, the franchise starter for Dark Universe.
The franchise starter and killer.
At least it did better than Dracula Untold.
I forgot that existed. That was like their Green Lantern.
Well, what happened was that Dark Universe, the Universal Monster movies, was totally supposed to start you guys with Dracula Untold, but it did absolutely awful at the box office. So it's like, oh, no, we were just kidding. The Mummy is the real one where it starts.
Well, yeah, Green Lantern's supposed to be the start of our new DC cinematic universe. Just kidding. It's Man of Steel. Look, it's dark like Batman Begins and The Dark Knight. Don't you like that stuff, kids? Everyone goes, no, we don't like when Superman kills people. And they go, My
favorite story about the Mummy is when how Universal offered Tom Cruise a lot of money to be in this movie, like, think $10 to $20 million to be in that movie.
Oh boy.
And my favorite part is that he made that movie, and then they wanted to start shooting on the sequel for Mission Impossible 6. So he said, listen, Paramount, you better pay me what Universal paid me for The Mummy, or else I'm not going to do your sequel. And then now he got a paycheck out of it, out of basically being paid a lot of money to bomb a movie.
So it didn't ruin his career by any means.
Because it's Tom Cruise.
Because it's Tom Cruise. He's one of those actors that I think, I mean, it's going to take a lot to sink him. If the Scientology stuff didn't make him unmarketable, I don't know what will.
He made good movies after the Scientology stuff. Like, sure, he did Oblivion.
Well, yeah, because that kind of ended.
But he also did Mission Impossible 5 and Edge of Tomorrow.
Edge of Tomorrow is so fucking good. Like, it's one of my favorite. I've only seen it once, and it's still like one of my favorite.
It doesn't
movies
age well. It's like you watch it.
Does it not hold up on a second?
It doesn't really.
Because I
never saw it.
That's a shame.
It's worth seeing.
Basically, it's Tom Cruise getting killed over and over again.
I
know what it is. I just never went out and saw it.
It was based.
Hey, audience!
Also,
if you want to see Tom Cruise get his face smashed in repeatedly, we got a movie for you.
My favorite part about Edge of Tomorrow is that it was based on a manga from Japan, and Emily Blunt, her character, is still a British woman, but Tom Cruise's character was like a 12-year-old Japanese boy in the comic. But then Tom Cruise went hold of the project and turned it into a Tom Cruise movie.
Yeah, I'm gonna be a 50-something-year-old. I mean, a 30-something-year-old man.
Yeah, my stepmom hates Tom Cruise. I don't really have a problem with him, other than his ego gets in the way of like what could have been a fantastic movie is reduced to like a pretty good movie.
Yeah. Well, you know, there's also the thing that makes it uncomfortable is the how old he is now. But, like, he keeps... Like, his love interests are always, like, in their 20s or 30s. But he's, like, pushing 60.
Michelle?
Via
Let's
CGI.
see, in Mission Impossible 6, Michelle Monaghan is going to be coming back. How old is she? She plays his wife in the third movie. So, she's about 40 years old.
Okay,
that's better.
So
she's
more
10 years younger than he is. Ish.
No, that's fine. It's just more weird when it's the actresses who are like 26,
like half his age.
Yeah,
literally,
like exactly half his age, and they could seriously be playing his daughter.
Yeah,
but they're playing his girlfriend. That doesn't ruin movies for me, but it's always something that's kind of in the back of my head. Like, that's a little weird. Kind of like how isn't the voice, or not the voice, the actress who plays Liz Allen in Spider-Man Homecoming, isn't she like 27?
I have not looked it up. I don't care.
She looks actually older than everyone else.
Well, because the idea is that she's playing a senior in high school, and Tom Holland's Peter Parker is supposed to be a sophomore.
Well, yeah, so. I get that. I'm just saying, like, it was effective. Because I totally got the sense that she was older than the rest of them.
Let's see, Annabelle Wallace. I'm looking this up. Let's see, her doesn't say how old. Oh yeah, his love interest in The Mummy is 20 years younger than he is.
Oh God.
Huh. Yikes.
He is, but he's like 55, but she's like 30s, early 30s.
God damn it! How the hell is he still doing?
You know,
movies?
The thing is, it's
a lot of
mostly CGI.
You can use computers to scrub off wrinkles as well, and also a lot of personal training.
Yeah.
So it's a combination of taking care of himself and being a horrible, disgusting Frankenstein monster that is constantly having like skin tucked back, and then also, just generally having them just. That's the secret thing of Hollywood that they don't like to talk about too much, but they make people look a lot better in the movies.
You can
than
use
they do
computers
in real
to scrub away the wrinkles and make people look thinner or
Beautiful.
more muscular.
Well, like even
or...
Brandon, have you seen Ghost Rider?
Like Nick Cage Ghost Rider? Yeah.
Yes. Do you remember that scene in the bathroom where he's got his shirt off and he has like rubber-looking abs?
Yeah, no, that was so real, dude. Nick,
they can just give people abs.
Dude, that was Nick.
You don't
that
have
was
to
Nick
even get in
Cage's
shape.
ridiculous training regimen. Okay.
His ridiculous training regimen of screaming, kicking, yelling, and then yeah, that's his exercise routine. Is he just freaks out on people?
Are you all excited for the Happy
Knocking
Time
at the door!
What just happened?
I was saying, are you excited for a movie that's going to come out next year?
Which movie? Does it have Nicolas
No,
Cage?
it has Melissa McCarthy.
Oh.
Already, I really don't want to see it.
It's called The Happy Time Murders. It's going to be like, you know who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Uh-huh.
It's going to be like that, but with like Jim Henson Muppet-style puppets.
Oh. I'm actually intrigued then.
That actually sounds like a really cool premise.
Two clashing detectives, one human and one puppet, are forced to work together to find out who's brutally murdering the cast of the Happy Time Gang, of a beloved classic puppet show.
Huh. So I'm hoping that like it's PG-13, but the violence enacted on the puppets is like X-rated, like just cutting people's heads off and stringing
and then it's
intestines
just, like,
around.
Bits of fluff and like.
Yeah. But because they're puppets, as much like as gruesome and disgusting as it is, they're still puppets, so you can get away with it.
It has the potential to be like the love child of Team America World Police and Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
With Melissa McCarthy.
That would be amazing.
Yes. Although,
do you remember in Team America where they're just going absolutely over the top with it, like just having like a full-on sex scene that shows basically everything, but because they're puppets, it doesn't count fully as nudity. So they actually managed to get away with like the most graphic sex scene in a movie in years, but because it was puppets, they were just fine.
What's their names? Those kids.
Trey Parker and
Matt Stone, who starred in
those wacky kids.
Who starred in Despicable Me 3.
Oh God, I forgot about that. That must have been something that like one of them did for their kids or something. You know, like, Daddy, you work in cartoons that I'm not allowed to watch. Can you be in one that I can?
It's like,
and he's like, oh, for fuck's sake.
It's like the new what's that director who made Spy Kids?
Robert Rodriguez.
Yeah, it's like the new Robert Rodriguez with Shark Boy and Lava Girl. He like prefaced it with,
I've never seen
my kids' ideas. The movie literally starts with, these are based on the stories of my kids, as in like, don't purge me for this.
Don't judge me. I'm trying my hardest.
Yeah.
It's
that inspires
the people in the thumb costumes. Remember the thumb people?
Yeah.
I never saw that movie.
Spy Kids, I used to watch the shit out of that series.
I didn't.
Kid.
To be honest,
I was a weird kid, okay? I watched Star Trek as a kid. I basically was raised on a diet of Star Trek and Star Wars.
I mean, my dad is huge into Star Trek. I don't mind it. I enjoyed old movies and the new ones. The first one was okay, but I was way more into Star Wars.
Well, I know one of the. You see, my dad's super into Star Wars, like practically obsessed with it. Like, as many items of clothing or like things I have with like a Deadpool or Spider-Man logo on them, he has like as many, if not more, with Star Wars stuff. So I've grown up around it a lot, and I've kind of found myself in this position where the more I was around it, the less interested I was in it. But like I don't hate Star Wars by any means. It's just like not something I find that cool. Like, I like the first 3 movies, but then it's just Then there's the rest.
I don't like.
They don't really get to me.
I don't like the direction.
I actually got a
going.
comment. Sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I actually got a comment about this on one of my videos. It's like, what do you think about Star Wars? Here's what I think about it. The first trilogy is okay. The second trilogy is really boring.
Is perfect for memes.
It gave us so many memes, but it's just like you can watch Plinkett and have him tear it apart all day, but at the end of all that, the basic point that I have, my basic complaint about it is that it's boring, and that's it.
Oh yeah, here's like a 5-minute scene that's just a corporate boardroom meeting.
I tried to watch one of those
Galactic
prequels
UN
recently, and I just fell asleep.
It gets difficult. Like we were doing like a bad movie marathon thing at our friend's house, and he put Attack of the Clones on the list, and we couldn't. We had gotten through Birdemic and The Room that night.
Birdemic is amazing.
And we were like really into it because those were at least funny bad. We turned on Star Wars, and then by the time they finished with that weird scene where the decoy lady dies, we were done.
So boring. And that's my thought. But the new Star Wars movies are just creatively bankrupt.
Where it's just like, hey, do you guys like this thing you saw 20 years ago?
Well, here it is again.
Well, here's that. Yeah, here's that again.
And it's just nothing new, but it's kind of hard to criticize it because I don't like it doesn't really do anything all that bad. It's just that it doesn't do anything good either. It's just kind of
it's a lot of middle of the road like, it was alright. Like that's how I feel about Rogue One and Episode 5.
There's okay. A couple things. There's this order that I've found that if you watch the prequels and if you mix the movies together and watch the original trilogy and the prequels in a certain order, it actually
like alternate.
Yeah, it actually makes it more interesting. If you watch it as like one giant movie, there's really two different ones. You can watch Episode 4 because you're introduced to like these characters and there's this rich history and you're like wondering about it, and then there's this adventure, and then you watch Episode 2. You cut out Episode 1 entirely because while Darth Maul's cool,
the Phantom Menace is nearly irredeemable.
Yeah, it's more than that. It's just
it's one of the most unwatchable films in the history of
cinema. I thought
cinema.
it was one of the least bad prequels.
Yeah, but it's just because it doesn't have a whole lot to do with the overall saga. You know, it just has Obi-Wan and Anakin in it. But so you go from episode.
Yeah.
That's a good trick.
Yep, you go from Episode 4 to 2. So he mentions Anakin, but you still don't know that he's Darth Vader. So you watch Episode 2 and you learn like that Anakin they build him up enough that you don't need to watch the first one. So then you go to 5 and it's revealed, holy shit, Darth Vader is Luke's dad.
It's like if either of you ever saw Arrow or Lost or something like that, like where they keep cutting back to this older thing
awful.
going on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Arrow
like,
was
hey,
terrible.
I hate Watch Arrow.
Yeah. I mean, I did that for a while too, but even
I hate Watch
like,
Sense
lost the
8.
patience for it.
I see.
Which sucks because we love the guy who writes
awesome.
Sense 8. He wrote some of the best Spider-Man
And he's also
comics.
written one of the best science fiction shows ever made. But then he wrote Sense8.
Yeah, Babylon 5 is pretty great.
You've never watched it. How would you know?
Well, I've seen a lot from you.
You need to watch it.
I mean, you've sent me... I will. I'll sit down one day and just watch the whole thing in, like, one sitting, probably. I'll die doing it, but it'll
That's
be
a good... Dying is good, especially for you. It'd be very therapeutic.
So then obviously you watch the third movie, so then you see his descent into madness.
Yeah.
And then the sixth
You're
one.
like, oh, wow, this guy sure is creepy.
And then the sixth one where you see his redemption. Now, the other order is slightly different. It just goes 4 and 5, so you're still kept in the dark about Darth Vader. And then 2, 3, so you learn Anakin's story. And then 6 is when the two plot lines come together.
Hmm.
That sounds like a lot of work, and then it's gonna be like 2 hours of cool stuff, and then 2 hours of just back to these guys again.
It's like doing a marathon of the Hobbit movies and the Lord of the Rings movies. One of them is obviously a lot better than the other.
Mm-hmm. I'm just saying, like,
think...
if you had a friend who had never seen any of it, wanted to get into it, but you didn't want them to watch the original trilogy, and then
just
find
tell
out
them not to watch.
There's a prequel, and then they go and watch that, and they're disappointed. You can at least mix it up,
Mm-hmm.
and they can enjoy it a bit better.
I would just tell my friend to not watch the original, to not watch the prequels.
Yeah.
Well, just be like, yeah, just look up the Wikipedia synopsis.
There's a
Because we actually have a friend who doesn't like Star Wars that much and hasn't gotten into it and had never seen any of them before, and we were like, he's like, where do I start, guys? Because episode 7 was coming out. And,
just watch 4, 5, and 6, and 7, and that's good. You don't like.
Yeah, and
really.
Yeah.
The entire prequel trilogy doesn't matter with the rest of the story because you just get all the information that you need for the rest for the story moving forward if you just start at a New Hope and move from there.
That's the thing about prequels, is often it's a story that was explained via, like, you know,
dialogue,
just like a couple of throwaway lines of dialogue.
Via exposition, yeah.
Yeah, there's exposition to let you know, like, yeah, this is what happened with Darth Vader. Yeah, this is my backstory, Luke. Or yeah, this is how all this went.
They're gonna
like,
miss.
You get
there
it.
Is
Do you
one thing,
need
though.
to spend 6 hours watching it?
They will miss out on Dexter Jettster and his 1950s diner.
Oh yeah, the most memorable character.
I used to like be huge in Star Wars. And I used to like try and figure out how you would like fix the prequels, and there's just so many problems you can't really fix all of it.
There was a good series on YouTube that you can actually look up, which is "What If Star Wars the prequel trilogy were good," where this guy basically sits down and makes a video where it's like, here's what I would do to fix the prequels, and he just.
Oh yeah, and he does like illustrations.
He does
for
storyboards
like,
for the whole thing, and it's actually cool. So that's what I would do. I would just refer to those.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's cool.
No, yeah, that was cool. I actually watched that. We thought about trying to do something like that once, where we were gonna,
but then the person that I asked
a
to do the
different
drawing
version of...
was a flake.
Yeah, we were gonna try and do like oh yeah. We were gonna do like what if there was a good Fantastic Four movie?
Oh, we need one of those, man.
We came up with like the whole plot and outlined it, and even came up with like a cast and everything.
It's the first family, dude.
And yeah, of Marvel Comics, and it was gonna be great. And we had it mostly figured out. I mean, some of the ideas looking back, I would have changed, but. Yeah, and we were gonna have a friend of ours at school do the storyboards, but then she graduated and was just like, I don't feel like
it. Yeah, so if you know anybody who's good at who likes to draw storyboards and stuff,
just contact us here on David's Facebook. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no. That actually sounds like a really interesting idea. I've never really thought about that.
Mm-hmm.
Like trying to storyboard out and like pitch a different version of movie, because we've thought about it before.
Well,
like,
I did that with Spider-Man 3. All my friends and I sat down and tried to figure out how to fix that train wreck.
It's just that we need somebody who can draw like sort of quote unquote storyboards as a visual aid.
It's like, you know, someone who'd be really good at that is like someone who can draw comic books.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know if we know anyone who's
Neither
like,
do
good
I.
at that.
Oh, I mean, I'll see what I can
like,
do. Check out my old contacts. There's an Uncharted trope.
Yeah. Just our people will talk with your people.
I'll go.
You can call his agent.
Contacts.
But oh yeah, we also had an idea for like an alternative version of the Matrix.
Really?
Yeah.
Where it was like going to be a little bit more. We just thought about like how can we make it a little bit more fun, because those movies are kind of joyless and like dour the whole time.
Also, the main character was really boring.
So we were like, how can we make Neo fun? So we had this idea that instead of a computer hacker, he was a he was like an astronaut or something, right? And he ends up falling out of a space shuttle, but because it's an artificial environment and, you know, the Matrix isn't real, he doesn't die because of his Matrix powers, and he's like, oh my god, I'm God, and then runs around just doing stupid shit with the Matrix, like bending time and doing like Inception stuff where he's like flipping buildings inside out and like walking through walls.
My main thing was that I wanted there to be like scenes where there were how you would tell that there was the Matrix is there'd be glitches, like you'd just be standing around and suddenly people would start like jittering in place.
Yeah, so it would be like a big glitchy video game, and he's a guy who knew how to sequence break it, and then the actual like people from the outside are like, dude, you can't keep fucking with the Matrix. It's run by a bunch of evil robots, and he's like, no, I'm gonna keep doing it. And then he has like a giant Matrix battle with the other good guys where they're just like breaking the laws of physics at each other, like. And we came up with this idea, like, the way we were describing it is sort of like the fight scenes from Doctor Strange, but we were describing this version of the Matrix in, like, 9th grade. I think it would have been cool. It was
kind of
like techno
Doctor
Doctor
Strange. Overcomplicated and kind of dumb, but yeah.
We also had ideas of, like this weird sort of, like... kind of Inception ending where it's like, well, maybe this happened, maybe this happened.
I think also the twist that they kind of suggested in Matrix 2 but they didn't go for is that what if the real world that Neo wakes up into is just another layer of the Matrix?
Yeah, and that would have been a really kick-ass... Yeah, because then he has Matrix powers in the real world. And it's like, that's stupid. Why?
You might be telling us that he's Jesus, but that's a little bit on the nose.
Yeah, I had an idea kind of floating around in my noggin when I was a kid that ultimately kind of turned into the plot of Assassin's Creed, where he's like, you know, in this Matrix, and then figures out that you know, some predecessor of his figured out how to break this code, and that the world he's living in is not real. Of course, he doesn't believe it at first, but then it's shown to him, and whatever, instead of like machines controlling them, it's like a corporation controlling them. And then he wakes up in the real world at the end and uses the skills that he learned in the Matrix in the real world.
Huh.
I never really went anywhere with it,
neat.
But
you and I have a tendency to come up with ideas and like for stories, and then like we never do anything with it, and then it happens like 4 years later.
Yeah, I run into that a lot.
Which is one of the biggest things I'm concerned with the novel I wrote.
Because it's I don't know. I don't think anybody's gonna rip that off because Dead Space.
It's so oddly specific. I said, all right, Dead Space mixed with Clockwork Orange mixed with Breaking Bad.
The thing is, sci-fi horror is out of
the spotlight,
out of style,
out of fashion right now.
Yeah. So, which is sad because like sci-fi horror, aside from superhero stuff, is like my favorite genre ever. Like, sci-fi horror movies are my favorite thing. I love
But they're just not in especially after something like Alien Covenant and Prometheus. I don't think any other producer is going to be like, yeah, I need to make one of those. Because everybody loved that, right?
No.
It's funny how the sci-fi horror genre has basically just become Alien. The genre.
Yeah.
But, yeah... Which sucks.
And even when
sometimes it's cool stuff, like The Thing.
Even when they make movies that aren't based off of Alien, they're Alien knockoffs, like Life.
Unless you're Pluto Nash.
Oh yeah, that's
then
true.
You're just Blade Runner with Eddie Murphy.
But that's not actually sci-fi.
So
listen, that might be a horrible movie, but it's not horror.
Borderline.
It's horrible.
Is Eddie Murphy's smile the scariest part?
Yes.
Okay.
Eddie Murphy, and he's trying so hard in the movie, man.
I feel
he's
bad.
Trying, and you're just like, Eddie, it's not working out.
Dan, it's a lot.
Dan Slott.
It's a lot.
Dan Slott.
Dan, it's a lot.
Hey Dan, how's it going?
But
okay.
hey, that reminds me of something funny.
Why are you gonna why do you have to slot him in?
Oh. All right, so
I loved it.
This reminds me of this funny thing that occurred to me. Have you ever just replaced actors in your head for movies that you've watched? Like, you're remembering it super wrong?
Yeah.
Because there's this Eddie Murphy there's this Eddie Murphy movie called The Golden Child, where it's like some kind of like Buddhist monk kid gets taken to America to fulfill some kind of prophecy and defeat a demon that's going to try and take over the earth, right? And Eddie Murphy becomes his reluctant caretaker just because they kind of drop him on him, and they're like, hey, you're the chosen one who's going to take care of this kid. And he's like, what? And it was a weird movie. Eventually, Eddie Murphy fights a fucking claymation dragon monster in a warehouse. But I swear to God, for like 10 years, I thought it was an Adam Sandler movie. I had completely switched out Eddie Murphy with Adam Sandler in my memory.
Have they ever been together in a movie?
No! And they don't look anything alike!
No, have they been?
They don't act anything alike!
In a movie together.
No, but like the plot...
No!
Here's the thing. The plot does sound like an Adam Sandler movie. Doesn't it?
Kind
of sounds like a movie he would do. But like, maybe Kevin James is his friend, that he's like the comic relief guy.
Because we all know that Adam Sandler's, not funny as a lead man.
Okay, Adam Sandler has enough charisma to be a leading man, or at least he did.
I know.
Do you know who doesn't?
Yeah.
Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy is not a leading man. And he kept trying to be.
I mean, his
best role ever was still as a donkey.
But he was the side character. He was the side character. He was not the lead. If they ever made a donkey movie, no one would see it.
I want one.
It wouldn't do well.
Remember when they did a Puss in Boots movie? Yeah, no one does.
Cinematic universe.
Starring the Minions.
Shrek 5 in 2018.
Can't wait.
I'm strapped in and ready to go, Dad.
Well, Shrek, think about it this way. Shrek and Despicable Me are under the same roof, now that they're both owned by NBC Universal.
Oh, no.
So, there could conceivably be a crossover where Shrek meets the Minions.
However, one is made by a company that gives a shit, and the other is way not.
Here's the thing with DreamWorks. They made Trolls. They made Captain America. Okay?
Yeah.
No, they made Captain Underpants.
I know
Captain
what you
Underpants.
meant.
They made Captain Underpants and Trolls. So, Jeffrey Katzenberg, the guy who founded DreamWorks with Spielberg and Geffen in the 90s, has been ousted from his regime, and now DreamWorks is also going to be run by the guy who runs Illumination. I can look him up.
I hate Illumination so much.
So
I
Illumination
hate their animation
Entertainment
style.
and DreamWorks SKG are now going to be both run by Chris Meledandri, who is the producer of all of them. He has let's just say that he has a interesting filmography. He started off making Cool Runnings, the movie about Jamaican bobsledders, and Sister Act 2. And then he went on to be behind Ice Age and Horton Hears a Who. And then he founded his own company, and then he made Despicable Me and The Lorax and Despicable Me 2 and Minions and Secret Life of Pets and Sing.
Well, I liked Ice Age 1.
He also made that terrible Robots movie.
Yeah,
No, what? Robots?
Dude, okay, Robots
Yeah,
does not hold up.
With Ewan McGregor and Robin Williams? Fuck you, that movie's awesome!
He worked for Blue Sky Studios before he founded Illumination.
Robots is great. That movie deserved a sequel.
No, okay, when was the last time you watched it, Xavier?
Like 2009.
Yeah,
I'm telling you,
exactly.
it does not hold up well at all.
Fuck, I really liked it.
I
Can I
love
say
that
that
movie,
like
dude.
Blue Sky Studios is also going down the hole as well because their next movie is Ferdinand, which has an invisible main character.
Is he played by Johnny
No, he's
Depp?
played by John Cena.
That was a good setup and payoff.
Yeah,
I'm proud of you, son.
That was the most sophisticated John Cena reference I've ever heard.
And the comments on the trailer are full of for Ferdinand are full of, where's the main character? I can't see him. Where is he?
It's great. I hope this joke never dies.
And it's also starring Gabriel Iglesias.
Okay. I despise Gabriel Iglesias.
He's a guy whose career has been running off of one joke. He said, "I'm not fat, I'm fluffy,"
And
like 10 years ago.
Borg.
And that's it!
The YouTuber Flula, he's in it too.
Oh, that guy!
Stop putting YouTubers
The German
in
guy.
movies just because they're YouTubers.
He was in Pitch Perfect 2, don't you remember?
I barely
I try
remember
not to.
I barely remember the plot summary of that movie.
Well, he was in it.
Have you guys seen the trailer for Pitch Perfect?
No,
Yeah.
there's a trailer.
I've seen it multiple times. I saw it
played in
in
front
front
of
of Baby Driver
Homecoming when we
and
saw
in
it.
front of Spider-Man.
Hold on, I haven't seen the other two. Is this one jumping the shark? Because there's tons of exploding shit and people fighting and, like, I think people waving around guns.
I've
It
never
looks like
seen
a
the
weird...
other one, so I can't tell you.
What, you're still talking about Pitch Perfect?
Yes.
With guns?
Yes. And they jump off of a boat. And they go skydiving. And it's a movie about acapella. And of course it stars Ruby Rose because every movie these days stars Ruby Rose.
Are they like spies in this one?
They're going to Europe to sing against a competition because everybody's having a quarter life crisis.
Why do they keep going to Europe?
Because that's
Where else can you sing?
Please,
the thing.
anywhere else.
Going to Europe Europe has a lot more history than us. So going there means that you're automatically more sophisticated and
Right.
Yeah, stupid America with all of its non-singers.
And no egg cups.
Can I say how
I just saw that.
Isn't it
too.
weird how Ruby Rose was in basically every movie that came out this year, including Pitch Perfect 3?
Who the hell is Ruby Rose?
Who is Ruby Rose? Isn't she from Orange is the New Black or something?
No.
No idea who she is.
She was a...
Does she have, like...
Well, I didn't know who... Oh, yeah, she is in Orange is the New Black.
Is that where she got her start? Because I remember people
she was
like,
on an
making a
MTV
giant
Australia
deal out of
as a VJ.
As a what?
VJ. Video... Like, basically a DJ who shows up on screen.
Did you realize the implications of
VJ.
calling it a VJ, right?
He didn't invent the term, dude. He's just relaying information.
It was so weird because she was in John Wick 2, she was in Return of Xander Cage, she was in Resident Evil, and now she's in
John Wick 2. Who'd she play?
In what?
In John Wick 2.
You know the mute henchwoman of the bad guy?
Oh, okay. Yeah, then I know who that is.
Yeah, it's funny because she was in so many movies this year. Like 4 movies. So yeah, Xavier still hasn't seen John Wick 2, despite the fact that he was super excited for it.
I
really like John Wick 1.
loved it.
It was really overcomplicated.
I agree. I still love
Yeah,
it.
apparently John Wick 2 is like all over the place in terms of plot.
It
What I've heard from several
but
sources.
like when they went to Italy, that action scene in Italy was really cool.
It's
It was
one of those
basically like
things. It's one of those things where like you can love something, but like you know that it's shit.
It's
okay.
It's like a video game, except you're not playing it, because John Wick is the most hollow, empty character ever. So it's basically like Keanu Reeves in The Matrix, how he's still the most hollow, empty character, and he's just sort of like there because we have to have a main character because you have to have a main character.
Right.
And then it's just him going around and shooting people. So it's basically a shooter video game, except you're not pressing the buttons. You're just watching.
I could see that.
On paper, that sounds like really boring and uninteresting, but it's really cool. I really, really like it.
The execution.
Like, they all have. There's fun supporting characters, and there's like a fun antagonist, and there's a really overcomplicated story that nobody cares about, and there's cool choreography. So it's basically a video game, except that you don't play it.
I think my least favorite part of the first movie, which I did like, was all the stuff with like the assassin backstory and the hotel,
which is the entirety
really...
of the second movie.
Oh, because I was more interested in just the revenge plot. Like, it's, hey, this guy who has a really long, complicated history as a badass is going to go murder this other guy that fucked with him. That's cool, but then all this other, like, hidden lore in the background.
That's the entire
about,
point
like,
of the second one.
Yeah.
Now, no wonder you guys don't like it. That's, like, the part I like the least.
Just so complicated and intricate and weird and...
You gotta get these special gold coins at the front of the hotel, and you can use them to get special things like
There is one scene that I will say that was...
Actually, you're right, it is like a video game. There's even, like, special coins you have to collect.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like...
Is this Bitcoin? I never knew... I never knew what Bitcoin was.
Yeah, I'd say that the whole sequence in Italy was amazing, but everything before that and after that was terrible. Like... As soon as he goes to Italy, he goes around and has the montage where he's shopping around for guns and gets his bulletproof suit, and then he goes to the party and he kills people. That's amazing. Yeah, everything before and after that was garbage.
I think what made the first movie so awesome was the fact that it just kept everything simple, and the allure, like, the magic of this secret society is only kind of hinted at, so you're like intrigued enough to be like, okay, well, I wonder. You can kind of imagine what his life was like, but when they spell it out, it's often not what you thought it was, and it's not as exciting.
But hey,
well, yeah, like when you watch all this stuff about, like, here's this hotel, here's all these people he knows, here's his backstory, like, that stuff's all good, like, flavor text to get the plot going and, like, amp it up a little bit, but when that's the main point, it's just,
I liked that also, like, the second movie took itself so seriously.
First one had a bit of a, like, tongue-in-cheek sort of
yeah, like, it was like, yep,
it's
your typical revenge plot.
Like, it knew that. There was tons of funny moments in there where it was, like doing something goofy. Like, doesn't one of his neighbors show up while he's, like, covered in blood, like, stabbing someone and go, what are you doing there, John?
It's the cop.
Just work. Yeah, the cop, yeah. That's what because it's been, like, a year since I've seen it. So, a cop shows up, is like, how you doing, John? And he goes,
Yeah,
stuff.
He's like, you working again? No.
Although... It was very profitable. John Wick 2 did $160 million on a budget of $40.
Oh, they're making another movie.
Damn.
Obviously.
They're making another one.
That's like, well, that's like 2 extra movies in a TV series.
Yeah,
it's the
a
new
no-brainer.
Taken.
It is. It is.
And of course, I'm interested. Speaking of, that's interesting. This is a weird, interesting topic because, there's sort of a change going on in these like B action movies that we're seeing, because John Wick is a B action movie. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
You like how in like the mid 2000s, all these sort of B action movies were like Euro themed. You know, Taken takes place in Europe, was produced by a European company. Taxi, the Transporter, all of these.
Oh, the Transporter.
Yeah, all of these sort of Euro-themed B-action movies. But now the...
Hi, I'm Jason Statham.
Yeah.
I hate superheroes.
See, my Jason Statham just
I'm
turns
the same
into
character in every movie.
into the Penguin from Arkham City.
Oh, fun.
Jason Statham is...
But now the change is going on where it's less Euro-themed B-action movies, and now it's more like Asian-themed.
Yeah,
we gotta have more ninjas.
John Wick is like what you would call a gun fu action movie, sort of like Hong Kong action cinema, and the directors have been very plain that that's what inspired them to make the movie. And of course, there's going to be stuff like Atomic Blonde, which is from that same director of John Wick, and Deadpool 2 from the John Wick director. So that's kind of a gun fu movie as well.
No, yeah, that's actually very fitting.
So that's kind of cool, because to see this sort of like Asian Hong Kong inspiration. For example, there's going to be that other movie, The Foreigner, with Jackie Chan, who's actually starring in one of these movies.
Is he still doing fight scenes?
He's in his 50s too, but he's not like Tom Cruise.
I thought he was like
he's acknowledging his
considerably
age.
older.
So is he doing like,
okay,
hand-to-hand stuff and not doing all like the crazy flips and shit?
He's doing hand-to-hand stuff in The Foreigner.
Cool.
Okay, because he's not jumping through ladders.
Yeah. He's actually 10 years older than Tom Cruise. He's 63.
Yeah, I figure. I was like, him being in his 50s doesn't sound right. He seemed like he was getting up there in Karate Kid. Which is my favorite dumb remake movie ever, because it's alright. Let's have a remake of Karate Kid, but this time he's doing Kung Fu the whole movie.
Karate Kid is like the Kung Fu version of Miles Morales.
Hey, do you like this character that you saw 20 years ago? Well, here he is again, but he's black and even younger.
I never thought about that, but it's like the same thing.
Oh my god, you're right. We figured out exactly how to if people like Miles Morales, they should go watch the
No, dude, Jaden Smith should play Miles Morales.
Isn't he older than Tom Holland?
Yeah, I think he is. But don't worry, Donald Glover has a nephew that lives in Queens.
Oh god. Where are the rest of the civilians on this rooftop? I'm trying to save them. I'm sorry. In order to keep myself from falling asleep, because it's been a very rough night, I decided to throw on a video game to just play while I was talking. So I've been playing Hulk Ultimate Destruction.
I love that game.
People have been telling me to review it for like 2 years now.
You should.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff in here for me to make fun of.
Yeah.
Like, there's stuff in here that's super awesome, but there's also stuff in here that's really dumb. So I think I have plenty of material if I wanted to.
It's one of the goofiest games I've ever played.
I was just doing a mission where you use a giant, like crane piece as a baseball bat to beat up soldiers and knock them across the ocean.
Yeah.
Hang on, I just got a message from David. I can't hear you anymore.
Ah, damn it.
Uh-oh.
That's not good.
Well, technical difficulties. Actually, we're like a little bit over time. You want to just call it here, everyone?
Sure.
All right. Well, David, I know you can't hear us now, and we're gonna have that thing where we have two divergent audio tracks that aren't listening to each other, like Bad Comic Art 3. So, that was subject to change, everybody.
Have fun. Good night. Is that the
See ya.
sign off? Good night.
Bye. To
Good.
See ya. Bye. Goodbye,
Goodbye.
Moon Man. Goodbye,
Okay, I'm gonna hang up on you.
Moon Man. Anyway, what?